Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Unapologetically Wild with me. So excited to have you here. And fuck, isn't the energy right now is totally wild? Okay. I honestly was like, what is going on with the energy this morning? And so I was like, I'm going to go find out because I was like, I don't even know what I want to talk about on a podcast today. But as we know, I channel and this comes through, and whatever's meant to come through today will. And I fucking love that, right? And it was a whole thing when I woke up this morning. I was like, I am a fucking boss bitch. I have got all the things. I've been growing, doing all the things right now. I'm like, universe, and can you please give me more? And I love this because it's like, universe isn't on a budget, right? Like it fucking can give you everything you truly desire. And sometimes we just don't even think to ask. Like I was like, I want more money. I want, I want more aligned clients. I want all these things. And I'm like, universe, show me how it gets better than this, right? You get to command to the universe and be like, show me how it gets better. It's not on a budget. They can give you all the things, and it's like an and universe. I had this beautiful thing this morning from an incredible woman who talked about how it's like some people live in the awe. So it's like you can't have your cake and eat it too. And if you live like that, and I've lived like that, where it's like, God forbid, you can't have the love and the business of your dreams and all the money and all of this sort of stuff, then you're like cutting yourself off at the knees. It's like this thing where you're like in this perpetual cycle where you're like, I can't have all these things, all this and that, like I don't get to have it all. You fucking get to have it all, babe. You get to have it all. Period, right? Where there's other people that we normally look up to, the ones that are like, and universe, and it's like, and this, and that, I want this and that, and they command and they ask for what they fucking want. It sounds so bloody simple, but it's actually something that we don't do. We don't ask the universe, we don't ask our spirit team, we don't sit with them and be like, I fucking want this. And I'm so bloody worthy, right? Like the amount of growth, and even if I hadn't done the growth, right? You are innately worthy of all the fucking abundance just by being alive. That is it. You don't have to do anything, be anything. Obviously, when we do align action, it actually does bring it in quicker. But like you are worthy, full stop, exclamation point. You can have your cake and eat it too. And it took me a really long time to get here. Like I used to always think that, you know, in a 9 to 5, right, you get paid the same. Like in the army, you get paid the same wage, the same, all of this, right? And then when I opened myself up to a business as well, I was like, oh my God, I get to make more money. Like I get to have not only my wage, but I also get to make more money and with business as well. And I get to have a fucking amazing people around me who think bigger, right? Who don't just sit in the same thoughts, the same patterns, the same place that I have been for this period of time. And it was this huge awakening this morning. I was like, what is going on astrologically? There's so many things. And I'm honestly not going to sit here and tell you because I could not do it justice of all the things I was watching this morning. But what has truly come through to me is like, when we honor us, like this is the biggest piece. And I feel like I've touched on this so much, but it's like when we honor you even deeper, like it's like the deepening of this is fucking wild, right? Because it's like for me recently, it's been a huge thing with the body. I've been getting massages and I've had like full releases, like of fear, of like timelines, of all these things, right? Because when we talk about the chakra system, it's like, when we're starting with the root chakra, that security, safety, fears, all of these things are held in the root chakra, right? So when I had a massage and it was the legs and the hips, I was released all this fear, like ancestrally and past lives and through my whole lineage, right? And it was just wild because it was like it just had been sitting there held and I got to go through it, cry it out, release it, be with it, honor it, and be like, cool, sweet. Now we look at the next center, right? Because we always got to look at the centers, and there's so many ways you get to release it, right? You can use massage. You can just tap in and be like, where is it in my body? And you can breathe through it. So you can be like, cool, at the moment I'm not feeling powerful. Where does that sit? Normally in your solar plexus. So it's the third chakra up. So you've got your root chakra, your sacral chakra, which is like, the womb, the feminine, the fucking holding, the beautiful life that's grown and developed in there. And then the power is in this solar chakra. So it's like above that. And it's like, you get to be with that. You get to be like, cool, this is my power center, right? It's just above your belly button. And it's such a beautiful place because that's where our fucking power comes from, our womb all the way up, right? Through to our heart chakra where we get to express our love and gratitude. And I was sitting in that this morning of the juiciness of being like, universe, show me how it gets better than this. I'm grateful for the money I have. I'm grateful for this house. I'm grateful for the abundance in my life that you show me every day. I'm grateful for this computer. I'm grateful for this microphone. I'm grateful to be talking to you right now. It's a fucking vibe, right? Like it is such a gift. I'm grateful for the light. I'm grateful for the sunshine. I'm grateful for all the things. And that gets me in my heart chakra and I'm like, the juiciness, right? And we get to feel how beautiful our life really is. And sometimes that can be hard when in the physical, we're not seeing the things that we're manifesting or talking about or allowing. But what it is, it's like we have to keep coming back to it. And it just sometimes it's more about the journey and trusting and being with it. And don't get me wrong, that is frustrating as fuck as a 3D human. It is really frustrating because you're like, oh, I want it now. You know what I mean? Like it's like a little toddler and a child like, meh, have a little tantrum. Babe, I've had many of them to God, universe, spirit, God. And they're like, oh my gosh, they must be sitting up there sometimes being like, this bitch. And it's so beautiful because also I get to express my true feelings, right? Because let's be honest, we're not always in a happy gratitude state. Like I was saying, like, give me all the things. This is why I'm fucking worthy. I'm in this like alchemizing rebirth, right? And so it's like I get to command and be in my power and be fucking powerful because I am fucking powerful. And so when I do that, when I'm in that state and I'm like, and then I express gratitude for what I already have, I'm just like deepening into the fact that I am so fucking grateful for what I have. And though I want more, and though I want to see all of it manifest into the universe. And I actually have fuck tons, right? Like I have the most beautiful, supportive family. I have the most beautiful friends. I have beautiful people coming through all the time who want to work with me. Like women generally are like magnetized to me to work with me, which is so beautiful. And it just is such a beautiful feeling, right? When you're in this and you get to be all of you. The other day, I'll even share a fucking really fun thing that happens in 3D. I needed to release some anger. And so I was like, I screamed at my RoboVac because it was pissing me off because it's not doing its job at the moment, which is so funny and such a great metaphor for the fact that right now, and this is what I want to talk about. It's like I was looking at the astrology and like Sita is a goddess of the darkness. Anyway, there's probably so much more you can learn about her. I don't know everything. So if you would like to look it up, absolutely do. And I was watching the astrology thing from one of the ladies I love watching on YouTube this morning. And she was saying how Sita, or I think that's how you say her name. Anyway, you can look it up and tell me all the things later. But it was like, she has this like thing, right, where she's holding onto a boat and like the old masculine, her father, like cuts her fingers off and she drowns, right? So it's like this beautiful metaphor of like, what are you holding onto in your past life or your like in your world at the moment, right? And this was a beautiful thing to initiate this conversation and initiate me today because it was like, what are you holding onto? This can be physically, this can be friendships, this can be job, it can be your health, like things that you're not doing. So, like, what are you holding on to? Like, gripping so tight that you're holding onto the boat that you don't want to let go because you're too scared to let go because you're not really sure what the fuck will happen. Babe, nobody knows what's going to happen. It's fucking wild. This is the universe. This is the world we live in. And it's like you're holding on so tight. And I'm still holding on to things too, right? Like, I still have to clean out parts of my house as well. There's things I want to clean out. There's things that I'm holding on to that I'm not letting go of in like in my business as well. There's like things that I'm moving to the next part and it's okay to still be where you are, like to still honor some things. Like if that's just in the transition period for business, it's very different. And no, it's not at the same time because there's parts of me that want to show up in a different way and I want to actually be different, right? And I want to change the whole persona. That'll all come out very soon. But also I have to do a shoot and a few other things to make that happen, which I'll get to. But I think what's so beautiful about this is that when you start honoring that and you start to let go instead of like having literally like she had her dad like cut her fingers off. And these are the masculine old patriarchy, oh my gosh, patriarchy. Holy crap. Paradigms, you know what I mean, that are starting to be moved out of society, of the systems, right? And we can start to see that when we see things happening and also when we experience it in our own lives. For me, it's really pertinent in my life because I have attracted so many beautiful men. And I've talked about this before in the podcast, but as I've healed myself, right? Because this is what happens when you start to heal your internal world, your external world reflects back to you how you are internally. And so I started to then not, when I first started dating and being with men, I attracted narcissistic, toxic, really horrible relationships. Um, but that was at a place where I didn't really understand myself. I didn't really understand what I'd come from. I didn't really understand what that all looked like or how that was actually affecting me. And I would just become this person that never spoke, right? Like I'd be in a relationship and I wouldn't have a voice at all. I actually can remember a time when I first had a boyfriend when I was really young and like, you know what I mean, teenager, not really young. Don't even know what that means. Anyway, moving on. Um, and I had to write him a note because I was actually too scared to say what I wanted to say. So he would read it instead of me actually voicing it. Like, this is the thing, like, the voice is a really big thing, and especially when it comes to female and male dynamics. And it is really important that we honor what safety looks like for us and how we can be secure. And over the journey, I have had many instances where I haven't had a voice, many instances where I've been taken advantage of, many incidences where men have decided that they know best or they will fix the situation in the way that feels good for them. Not appropriate. And so that had to be a learning for me though, because I had to start standing in my own power and saying the fucking thing and being the woman who actually felt safe in environments and felt safe in myself and honored that I have a fucking voice and I'm fucking got a lot to say and you're welcome. Uh, and so you get to listen to it. So it's such a beautiful thing when you start to honor that and you're so much more powerful in it. And what happens is I ended up calling in all of these beautiful men in my work. And now I have a beautiful man who like I get massages from. I go to City Cave. He's amazing. And that's where I had the release of like just having a massage and then the body releasing after, like when I was like came home and then I couldn't sleep all night. And then all of a sudden I was just crying and it was a whole mess because that was how once it's removed and once it's released through, trigger point, through it, like anything, like you could give yourself a massage. Like there are so many different ways you get to release this. And as women, we can also release a lot of tension through having an orgasm. So let's do that. Men as well. So it's like, beautiful because we get to move energy, we get to allow ourselves not to be stuck through different ways through the body, right? And I think it's really powerful that we talk about this because what is it that you're holding on to that you could let go of? Because if you actually let go of the thing or you realize and you really allow yourself to revolutionize your life and your power and your voice and all of the things, you're going to realize that when you let those things go, you're going to be fucking 10 times more powerful. And confirmation, the light keeps going on off. Like, you're going to be so much more powerful when you start to voice that even deeper. And it gets to be something that you get to explore and you get to work out what feels good for you and how you can provide more safety. And all I can tell you is then all of these men, like my boss was, a divine masculine. Then I had also another boss before that. And then that was in the military even. So then I got to see how it doesn't matter where you are when you start to look after your internal world, you get reflected back to you, literally the safety that you portray out into the world. So I think it was such a beautiful piece. And then I got to speak to my brother last night and we got to have a big conversation about these sorts of things. And I think it's really important because you've got to honor that, right? And honor that in the way of like your healing will bring you in exactly what you need. And though you don't have to be perfect to receive. And I think they're two really big things, right? You get to live in an end universe where you get to actually magnetize everything to you and know you can have everything you want because you can. And you also get to ask for it because you can ask for fucking anything you want. And babe, it's coming to you. You don't need to know how, you don't need to know when, but fucking it's coming to you. I promise you. Like, there's so many instances where I have literally received everything I've asked for in ways that I could not even imagine, right? And I've talked about this so many times on the podcast, and you get to be in that receivership. You get to honor what you want to receive, right? And you get to ask for what you fucking want and go out and command it and be the woman that walks in that room powerfully and everyone's like, who the fuck is that? you get to be the wild feminine and you also get to honor all parts of you. And I think this is really important, especially when it comes to friendships and partnerships and all the things, right? You get to speak your truth to them. And I had a lovely lady today reach out to me and we were talking about this where she was like, oh, I don't think my friend, I don't feel drained with them and I don't feel, like I'm struggling to, I guess, be friends with this person. However, what her big aha moment was when we spoke about it, when I said, like, to be honest, I don't have friends like that in my life because I'm really good at setting boundaries and I have really good friends that are like that too. And we may not speak for a period of time, some of us, but when we do, like, we always are thinking of each other. We always like, it feels like we're going back to when we spoke, like, could have been 6 months ago, but it feels the same. It feels like we're best friends and we just saw each other yesterday. And so that's been a really big piece though, because it's been a boundary thing. It's been allowing that other people get to go live their lives and then we get to still be a part of each other's lives. And look, if we're in proximity, we probably would be seeing each other every day, but we're not. We live on all different sides of the country. And the army has been a really big thing for this because it means that you still get to be loved by so many beautiful people and you still love them and you think of them so often that you probably forget to tell them. I do, definitely. And there's probably so many of you that I'm sorry I don't tell all the time that I love you. But it's also this beautiful piece where friendship gets to be about everyone gets to live their life and we get to be fucking so beautifully connected where we get to celebrate and love each other and talk when we can, right? Because life can get busy and all the things. And that's not an excuse. That's just generally, we get to all be like that. We all get to have those experiences. And then she was like, it's more that she's taking up space where something else can come in. And this is why I really want you to think about what are you holding on to, right? Because it's taking up space for what you're calling in. So if you're calling in a partner and you've taken up all this space, right, for something else. Let's say you jam pack it full of all this other stuff, like you make yourself busy or you don't have time to actually spend with someone new. You don't have time to get to know someone. You don't have the space, you don't have the energy. If you're not doing like allowing yourself the space and energy for that and you've decided to input into another relationship where they don't respect your boundaries or they don't do this or they don't do that, but you're like, they don't drain me, so it's fine, then it's like, hang on a minute, that's not going to bring in this, right? Or or another friend that aligns more into what you want and what's actually going to serve you. So you get to speak your piece. And I think this is a really big thing. You also get to honor when things come up for you, you get to go and allow yourself to have your screaming moment, have your moment where you get to release it and come back and then reintegrate into the conversation or the partner or the friend or whatever. Because there are times where things are going to frustrate you, annoy you, you're going to need to release, have anger releases, have cry, all the things. You can sometimes have them with people, but sometimes you're also okay to go and release it and come back. And so I think what we get to look at here is like, how do you create that space to honor you even deeper? Because by you taking the space to go and have the emotions come back or deal with the trigger or do the thing, come back and then have a civil conversation, great. Or go and like talk to someone and be like, cool, where am I at here? What am I thinking? What's going on? Is this the right space for me? Like even reflecting in a journal or anything or talking out loud. I'm really big on talking out loud. Sometimes I even talk to ChatGPT and just say like, I need you to reflect this back. And sometimes just reading it is really helpful, even though I've like spoken out and that actually most of the time brings me to the thing. But it's kind of nice to know that, it can be reflected back to me and there might be something that I'm not seeing. And so it's cool because I have a coach for that as well. Obviously, that makes it a lot easier. And it does make it really good because she always gives a different perspective. And that's really what life is about, right? We live in a certain perspective like all the time. And unless people are there to shift our perspective or we do something that changes our perspective, like takes us to another place or doing something new or experiencing something new or all of the things, then we don't really find out how to live our life in a different way, right? Like even the transmission of me talking right now to you is going to open up your eyes into a different perspective of something because something is going to land today that I've spoken about. And I know that because my transmission is fucking honestly transformational. And it'll be something that may hit you today, may hit you next week, may hit you in 6 months' time, right? Because what happens is the reason you're listening to this, the reason this is coming up, the reason this is in your field, and I am channeling what I need to say for you, is that it needs to shift you in some certain way at some certain point. So it only will ever be heard by the people that need to hear it. And that's a really big thing because the transmission of sharing and creating and being in that space comes from the space, right? Creating the space calls in all of this. You created space today to listen to me so that this podcast could shift your reality. You allowed yourself that space, right? You created the space for that. It's the same when you're manifesting anything in your life. It's the same when you're around different people. It's the same when you want to bring things in. One, you ask for it because you're powerful and you can get anything you want. Two, you get to actually not only ask, but allow the space to receive it. For some people as well, this can be like cleaning out closets. This can be buying new outfits. This can be all of the things, right? There are so many different ways. For me, even last week, it was about like changing my hair to having a bit more depth in it, right? And not just being purely blonde. And I may stay there, I may not. This is just all part of the journey, right? We just get to adventure and play. And so it's a really big thing when you create the space or you create something new or you open yourself up to something new. Whether or not you take it in or not, like this is the other thing too. You can take a step forward towards something and you might be like, oh, I actually don't like this. But guess what? You just actually found out a way something you don't like, which is actually going to create clarity for you for what you do like. So it's like this journey gets to be fun, exciting, creative, but unless you create the space for all these manifestations and all the things that you're calling in, it's not coming. Or it is, but it's going to take its sweet little time because it's going to be like, you're not quite there, like in the way that you haven't created space. So where am I going to put it? It's kind of like you think if you built a swimming pool and then you put sand in it and then you put like rocks in it and then you put all of these things. And obviously you could still pour water in it, but you wouldn't need as much water if it was just a swimming pool. And then it would be a really shitty pool because if it's full with all these other things and not actually water, just water, then you're like, wow, this isn't very fun. It's just like a big sand pit with some rocks, you know? So it's like, where do I put this in? Like, where do I put this 10 gallons of water in? It doesn't fit. And we can't really make it fit. I used to love saying this when I was in high school and I used to create like woodwork. And I remember just being like, there was just such a big thing. I'd be like, if it doesn't fit, I'm going to make it fit. That doesn't really work in this instance. And I think it also doesn't have to. We get to also open ourselves up to create the space to receive. And this is why a lot of women go into rest. And this is why I was talking to my friend the other day because a lot of my friends are pregnant and they're resting more, right? And they're like, I don't have as much energy, or maybe they do, but it's like a little bit more of a struggle to do things and all that. Why do you think, as women, when we create life in our womb space, we are literally creating space in our stomach for them to grow, right? Our body wants to slow down because it's like, all right, we're creating a human here. The more rest we have to rejuvenate and create this human, the better it is, right? And so as a society, we've become this thing where we're doing and doing and doing and doing all the time. But we also need to honor the rest as a woman. Like we are a sacred being that gets to create life. Like not only that, but have creative spaces, do all the things, right? And so if we want to keep creating and manifesting and bringing all the beautiful things into our life and receiving, we have to create space for it. We have to open ourselves up to asking for what we want, fucking being in our power and really, you know what I mean? Like that's big. Opening our voice, being the authority, saying the thing, not giving a flying fuck. We have to be that fuck yes about ourselves. And we only can do that when we start honoring and connecting with who we are and actually what we truly want. And you know what? You don't have to know all the things, right? Because like I said before, you can literally be like, I want to go do that because that's interesting. And then find out you don't like it. And then all of a sudden you have way more clarity than you did before because you're like, I don't like that thing. Wow, that's okay. Like it's totally okay. And you get to work out what comes next. And then if you get into actually being spiritually aligned in your spirituality, which is such a vibe, then you will have things come through like you'll have downloads and callings and all of these things that will come through you and, you know, maybe even channel. And what happens is when they come through you, you then make aligned action because they might be action steps, or you might get pulled to something, like physically pulled, or you might just feel like this urge or this like feeling of like, no, don't go that way or go this way, or these little nudges and hints from the universe, from your intuition, from all of the things, whatever you refer to, God, spirit guides, all of that, they are starting to pull and nip you and pull you and like work out where you want to go. And so the biggest thing is surrendering to that and actually honoring that. And sometimes we get really stuck in our head because we're like, what does this mean? What am I doing? All of the things. And you're like, part of it doesn't have to be about that. It just gets to be something that you do and you see what comes from it. And opportunities will come in from that small movement that you got in the voice in your head or the little download or the thing that came through. And you might do it being like, I don't actually know why I'm doing this. That's perfect because you're not meant to. And then literally you're like, oh, all of these opportunities opened up. Wow. Like, an example of that is me going to Samoa for a basketball trip that came up just before I was leaving the army, like literally before I was going to go on leave and before, my whole discharge. And I got to go on the trip. And then I had job offers given to me while I was on the trip. And so this is the thing. You don't need to know why you're going or what it's doing, but you get to create the space. You get to have more joy in your life. You get to have more gratitude because the more we keep doing as women, the more we don't allow this space. Why do you think we have kids that are full of joy and happiness and play and all of these things? Is because it wants to bring us back into that too. Our inner child is screaming, saying, give me some fun and some joy and some play. Let's do the thing. Let's allow ourselves to be free and wild and crazy, right? And we get to honor her. We get to see, like, maybe we go painting and maybe we go dancing. And the other day I was dancing in the street while I was walking my dog. Yes, I was. And it was fucking beautiful, right? And you know what? I don't think a fucking soul saw me. And if they did, actually, well, there were some cars that drove by, so they probably did. But I hope that it made them smile. Do you know what I mean? And even if it didn't, well, ugh, I hope they have a great day, or they're already having a great day and I was just a weird void on the side. But I honestly was so fucking happy. I was dancing, I was singing, I was doing all the things, and I just felt amazing. I was with life, I was present, I was in the sunshine, I was grateful, all of these things, right? And I just got to receive the beauty of life. I got to receive so much in that, in the way of what gets to be next. Like, what's coming through for me? How can I allow it? How can I be with what this stage of life is? And how can I honor that? And now it's like powerfully moving into the next piece. Like, what do I get to allow myself to do to create space? And I've been honoring myself with, the massage last night. And it was really, amazing. And it just allowed me to start this week beautifully, right? Because it means that I've allowed myself to release and receive. And then as this week goes on, I get to be with the structure, which I always have in my business. And I've even deeper because I bought a planner the other week. If anyone was watching my stories, I got a really cool business planner and I love planners. Sometimes I actually, though, have not used them. I will be brutally honest with that. And this time I'm like, got it out, laid it out, got it out in my living room. So it's got all the things and when things are happening. And I feel really good today. Went to plan, which is great. And so we get to honor that. We get to have a plan too. And we get to do things. And it can be as different as like my Saturday. I was on doing all the things, the gym, I was like buying things that I needed to buy, doing all of that. I was like, do. Sunday, I got to fully immerse myself in life and rest. So I think we get to honor the ebbs and flows. We get to honor who we are as a woman and that, sometimes I was crying, sometimes I was happy, sometimes I was mad. Clearly, like I said at the start. And we just get to be with all of that. Like it all gets to be this beautiful, like, I guess you could say like the waves in the sea. There's sets when they come in and they're aggressive and hectic, and then there's times when they're just chilling. And then some days are more erratic than others. And like it just gets to be a beautiful allowance of life coming to you and receiving. and just receiving so much joy, love, and light, and though allowing yourself to be with the deep darkness of the shadow too. Because in that, I get to see how when I was, remember years ago, I was in this relationship where I actually didn't see anyone for 6 weeks. And I was talking about this actually last night. And I, it was this constant battle of like, he would be like making me feel guilty or wanting to stay at his house or my house, or he'd leave his dog at my house. Or like, it was always this thing where, you know, I didn't ever know what to do. It was almost like I was so confused all the time, and I just couldn't like work it out because he'd be like always being like, "Oh, come to my house. Oh no, you're too late. Oh no, if you don't do this, then I'm not going to do this. Or if you don't do this, I'm not." And I was just so confused. I remember being in the car. I remember asking him to help me with a work thing because he was really good at it. And then I remember asking if he'd come to help, and he'd like, "No, you have to come to my house." And then I'd be like, "No." And then he's like, "Bring the dog. You're gonna stay." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm gonna do it at home. Can you call me and can we do it on the phone?" "No, you have to come to me." So then, it went back and forth and back and forth, and I was like, "What the fuck?" And then I was like, "Okay, I'll come to you. I'll pack all this up. I'll come over." And then he was like, "No, you can't come over unless you're staying." And I was like, "Well, I'm not staying. I'm gonna go back home afterwards." And he's like, "No." And then it was just like this whole thing where I was sitting in the car crying halfway there when he was like, "You're not allowed to come over." Like, "No, I'm not doing it for you. I'm not helping you." And then I was like, because it was all conditional, right? And so that was a really big piece. But then if I hadn't have gone through that, I didn't realize that the next partner that I had, I was so grateful that he was really good with boundaries and really good of being like, he gets his own thing because he was like becoming a cyclist. So he had to do his training and all the thing. And he was really conscious of that. And so we had our own space. And I got to learn and see the difference, right? So the shadow of the fact that that was fucking horrible. And I ended up getting to the point where I was crying in a bathtub, called my friend and was like, "How the fuck do I get out of this?" And true story. And then I had this opposite effect of when I met the next person and when he actually honored himself, right? Then I got to honor myself, and it taught me that boundaries are really important and that we get to honor that, because when you have boundaries and when you honor what your boundaries are, it actually means that the other person can too. And we actually had more to give each other because we were looking after ourselves individually. And we could shed our emotions together separately. We could look after ourselves together separately. It just opened up something that was so beautiful, so divine. And I honestly have never been more grateful for it. But if I hadn't have seen what the other opposite of that was, I would not have had as much gratitude for what I was learning and actually seen the incredible things that I was learning from this partner. And there were so many lessons in that. But what I want to show you is, yes, you can go through things in your life. Yes, they can be horrible. Yes, maybe not the greatest, right? But there gets to be a point where we get to alchemize that into the light, and how we get to share it with the world and how we get to honor that for ourselves. And I think this is super powerful. And I really want you to hold on to this, because it means that nothing that's happened to you is quote unquote good or bad, because let's be real, yes, not great that happened. Don't want anyone to ever go through that. Don't ever, you know what I mean? All the things. And though we get to learn how we get to create from that. And we get to learn how now when I create space and when I allow emotions, because at that time I allowed emotions and it to be seen and be vulnerable and be heard, that I had a voice, right? For the first time ever in a relationship. And I actually got that honored. And so I got to see how honoring myself, which is what I always wanted, right? In relationship, was to be able to honor myself and have someone else honor them. And then we both come together and we honor being together. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think we get to hold on to these sorts of lessons and these things that we learn, and that there gets to be even something even bigger coming in for me, because, there was that one didn't work out, and that was perfect as well, because it wasn't meant to. And it's so lovely to see how we get to grow as we come out of only our individual time and our relationship time. And it's beautiful how we get to see how the universe then gives us the new thing once we allow ourselves to be open to receive new perspectives, new views on life, new experiences, and actually give ourselves space to receive. So I hope all of that lands today, and I hope that you really got something out of it. I would love to hear in the comments of anything you got out of it and honoring your fucking voice and how this gets to honor you as a woman moving forward into what you desire. And I want to say I love you. I'm so fucking grateful to be in your ears today. And I want to hear the comments. I want you to message me, do all the things, like it, like and subscribe this beautiful podcast and send it to your friends, anyone who you think would love to hear this and really would get something out of the transmission of today. And I want to say, keep being unapologetically wild and totally you. Own your fucking voice and create space for what you want in the new. Let go of what's no longer serving you because honestly, babe, you are so magical and the universe, you get to be and the universe, not or. There's no this or that. You get to be and this and the partner and the health and the love and the business and the money and the abundance, all the things and all of it, right? So go and be unapologetically wild, be you, ask for what you want, and I fucking love you. Bye.